I'm Keith Hall, Director of the Congressional Budget Office. For over 40 years, CBO has produced independent analysis of budgetary and economic issues to support members of Congress, committees, and their staffs throughout the congressional budget process. At the corner of 2nd and D Street Southwest, CBO's offices are located on the 4th floor of the Ford House office building. Our agency publishes a range of budget and economic projections, cost estimates for legislation, studies of major federal programs, and a number of other products. For the latest examples of our work, we encourage you to visit our website. And now, here are some of my colleagues to tell you about 10 key things to know about CBO.
Lawmakers created CBO to give the Congress a stronger role in budget matters. CBO was established under the Congressional Budget Act of 1974 to provide objective, nonpartisan information that would support the budget process. CBO's mission is to help the Congress make effective budget and economic policy. In carrying out that mission, the agency offers an alternative to the information provided by the Office of Management and Budget in the executive branch.
The Congress sets CBO's priorities. CBO follows processes specified in law or developed in concert with the budget committees and congressional leadership. CBO's chief responsibility under the Budget Act is to help the budget committees with matters under their jurisdiction. The agency does support other committees, particularly the Appropriations, Ways and Means, and Finance committees, as well as the leadership. CBO is required by law to produce formal cost estimates for nearly every bill approved by a committee. CBO's cost estimates are only advisory. They can be used to enforce budgetary rules or targets, but CBO does not enforce such budgetary rules. The budget committees do that. CBO is required to also produce certain reports, including the Budget and Economic Outlook, which includes CBO's baseline budgetary and economic projections.
CBO produces a lot of work each year. In 2017, CBO published over 700 formal cost estimates, provided technical assistance to the congressional staff for thousands of legislative proposals and amendments, and published dozens of reports about the budget, the economy, and other policy issues. Because of limited resources, the number of estimates and reports that CBO can produce falls short of congressional demand. We also must balance our commitments to respond quickly to the Congress with our professional responsibility to release estimates and analyses only when their quality is high enough.
In order to provide the Congress with the high-quality analysis that it needs, CBO's staff has expertise in many areas. Among CBO's roughly 240 people, the largest concentration of expertise is in health. Other areas of focus include national security, labor, taxes, energy, finance, and macroeconomics. CBO's analysts always pursue high quality and accuracy. They approach issues with a detailed understanding of federal programs and the tax code. Analysts read the relevant research literature and evaluate data collected by federal agencies and by private organizations. CBO regularly consults with a diverse range of outside experts, including its panel of economic advisors and a panel of health advisors. CBO acknowledges that outside assistance for its reports in a section called About This Document at the end of its publications.
CBO's analysis is objective, impartial, and nonpartisan. The agency makes no policy recommendations, and it hires people for their expertise without regard to political affiliation. CBO considers whether potential employees can perform objective analysis regardless of their own personal views, and the agency enforces strict rules preventing staff from having financial conflicts of interest, as well as limiting their political activities.
Models don't produce CBO's estimates. Analysts like myself do. We combine what can be learned from various modeling approaches with other sources of information so that the estimates correspond as closely as possible to what the best available research suggests. It's important to note that there is a degree of uncertainty with any of CBO's estimates, but our goal is to produce estimates that are in the middle of the distribution of possible outcomes.
CBO has a rigorous system of checks and balances. All of CBO's cost estimates and reports are reviewed internally for objectivity, analytical soundness, and clarity. That process involves many people at various levels in the agency. Analysts' consultation with outside experts help them hear all perspectives on an issue. CBO also reports on the accuracy of its projections about the economy, spending, revenues, and health insurance subsidies, and compares its work with other forecasts.
Transparency is one of CBO's highest priorities. But because that word transparency can mean different things, I'd like to highlight CBO's 3 major goals to ensuring its work is transparent. First, we aim to make that work understandable, meaning we want it to be clear, detailed, and straightforward. Second, we want to make sure that our work is credible, and we do that by providing the data, professional research, and expert feedback that underlies all of that work. Third, we strive to provide enough detail in our analyses to allow people to gauge how those estimates might change if certain variables are changed. To support those 3 goals, CBO has undertaken a number of projects over the past year. I'll highlight a few of them. We've created several interactive tools. For example, we have one tool that allows people to enter alternative economic scenarios to see how budgetary effects would change. We've provided more information on some of our larger and more important models. For example, our simulation model for choosing health insurance coverage. We've posted more computer code. In some cases, that code will allow people to replicate some of our analyses. We've published the results of our annual analysis of the accuracy of our spending estimates, and we've published 2 products on formal cost estimates. One is a step-by-step review of how those estimates are produced, and the second is a very nice visual on the elements and content of those cost estimates. CBO also promotes transparency by providing broad access to our work. So for example, all formal cost estimates are made available on our website as soon as they're finished, and we regularly make CBO analysts available to explain their work to members and congressional staff. For example, my colleagues and I have recently collaborated with the Congressional Research Service to present seminars on how we prepare the baseline, the economic forecast, and certain cost estimates on reforming health insurance coverage and banking regulations. All of those seminars are also available on the website.
CBO evolves as the needs of the Congress evolve. Though CBO has remained true to its original mission, its work with the Congress has changed as their needs have changed over time. For example, as legislation has grown more complex, CBO has found itself spending more time providing preliminary analyses and technical assistance during the drafting stage. And CBO analysts are being asked more often to prepare cost estimates for bills that are heading for a vote without being marked up by committees first. To accommodate the Congress's needs and agenda, CBO is shifting its staff and resources and developing new analytical tools.
We are always looking for ways to do things better. In 2017, for example, CBO made major improvements to its analysis of the income distribution. And in 2018, CBO has been reviewing and updating every aspect of its simulation model of the health insurance coverage, which forms the backbone of the agency's budget projections related to federal healthcare spending. In general, CBO is always making incremental improvements to its models.
Responsiveness and transparency are top priorities at CBO, and we continue to find ways to strengthen these efforts. We're always available to talk with you, and we look forward to working with you and your staff.